the world that we've created, it feeds its people with consequence. Do this or there's a consequence.
Yeah.
You need to have your monthly rent. You need to feed your children. There's a consequence to everything. And so that causes this frantic mentality that I have to get all this stuff done at this time, within this date, or there's going to be all these consequences.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you do need to pay your bills. Yes, you should be on top of that. But it's scary how real those consequences are. If you don't pay your rent, you don't have a home. You're out.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's a harsh reality, but at the same time, it's hard to find that balance, I guess is what I'm saying. It's hard to find that balance because it's a harsh reality. You need to pay your bills. You need to have them done on time. But where do we find the comfort in, just having our daily lives, especially for those of the Americans that are struggling, that can barely pay their bills or sometimes aren't paying their bills? And that's, I think, where we find a lot of the problem with people not being able to find the balance because they're so stressed out and they're so scared they're going to lose everything. And it's tough,
When do I take the time to take a breath if I feel I'm going to get evicted?
So, that's a good time to take a breath.
Yeah.
It's very tough, though.
Yeah.
It is tough.
Very tough.
And so what you guys are bringing up also, and since I love that we're bringing in multiple perspectives because everything is connected, right? And the fact that somebody has to struggle to make rent already calls into question a larger out-of-balancedness that has to do with a few having more than enough and so many having to struggle. So when we're talking about balance, we're talking about within the self, right?
World.
And each other, and then world stuff. Here we are as a society, as a world, and we have been operating in ways that doesn't necessarily always honor the human being, right? Or the planet, right? Ourselves or each other. That's changing very rapidly because people are beginning to say, this does not work for me anymore. This is not okay, right? And it's not just one person or two people. Now it's lots, millions, right? Little pockets all around the world that are, in essence, waking up to the illusions and kind of peeking through and saying, this is not real. We have more than enough food on the planet. Mm-hmm. We have more than enough money. We have more than enough homes. We have more than enough resources. It's not, we're sold the idea of scarcity, right? That we don't have enough. So then we're on that hamster wheel trying to get, what we need. When we look at systems that are out of balance, another word for that is inequality, right? It's just an out of balanceness of power. When we look at anything that's out of balance, we realize that anything that's out of balance is man-made, right? Man-made. Anything that's out of balance is man-made. So if it's man-made, then it can be remade. That's powerful. Taking action, right? What was it in the I Am documentary that after the Dalai Lama? What do you recommend at this time of change and transition? We're going through so much turmoil as a global society. What do you recommend? And he says, critical thinking and action, right? Right? And so, and I feel like what we're doing is we're doing that here, right? We're like a little pocket. It's like evolutionary circle that's just like creating a space. We all get to wake up at our own time, and then we get to tap the next person and say, wake up. There's another way to be in the world, right? Karma Kitchen. There's another way to do business. There's another way, and we're all coming to that space, individually and collectively. There has to be another way, and there is. And we're the ones who usher it forward. So the work that we're doing here, the work that other groups and people, different movements are doing, is we're more significant than we give ourselves credit for sometimes.
One thing I was going to say based on everything you're saying is I feel like the world is facing this massive, extreme selfishness. And it's on two different levels. It's on the individual level. For instance, I was talking to a friend a while back and we were debating the concept of insurance, whether there should be insurance to cover everyone, whether you should pay for your own individual insurance, that whole concept. And her response is, why should I pay more for other people? And to a point, I get that. No one wants to work hard for everyone else. You want to work hard for yourself. But at the same time, there's that innate selfishness coming out of that, where you're so stuck on you that everyone else is suffering. Yes, that's not her. She's not destroying the world, of course. But there's that concept of we're so stuck on self that when everyone's so stuck on self, we actually cause pain and suffering to a mass population.
Right.
And then there's the higher level of corporation level and people outside of our touch that we can't do anything about individually, but until we come together as a mass population and finally question them and tell them and make them, which we have the power to do, which I don't understand why America is sitting by and letting this happen. Because, yes, I know that there's laws and regulations, but the reality is we have the ability and power as a population to stand up and say, this is wrong, let's fix it. And people won't, and they're not. And until we do, nothing's going to change.
They are.
They are.
People do now. Yeah. Which is good news. Yes, they haven't in the past.
Honestly,
But
all
we
it takes,
we are waking up.
all
Go
it
ahead.
takes is a voice.
It
That's
does.
right. Just one.
You signed a petition, and what is it, like the Stop Online Piracy Act? It was spearheaded by traditional media to prevent us from sharing, what we want to share online. And I was one of a million people that signed that petition, and the bill was defeated because the petition was submitted to Congress and said, no, enough is enough. So he's like, I know, I can personally attest that, if you sign a petition, whatever you believe in, if you want T-Mobile to keep their U.S. jobs here instead of outsourcing them, if you want HP to do something about why are you laying off 20,000 people when you're not doing that, if you want to save the LA River, return it back to the United States, jump in, use your one voice, to take action.
And these powerhouses have been pushing around the population for so many years. And it's only
because we're
hurting us.
allowing them to.
Exactly.
Right.
And
It
that's
was
the
easier.
problem.
We became lazy.
I hate it.
Complacent.
I would say complacent.
It's true.
For a lot of reasons, yeah. Chad,
Right.
you had something to say.
Yeah, I just wanted to read this little section in Time in the Soul because I think I'm just going to read it. Words alone, no matter how sacred, ideas alone, no matter how profound, are not enough to help us confront our problem with time. But words properly received, ideas thoughtfully pondered, stories and images heard and attended to with an open heart can help us feel the relationship between the question of our being and the problem of our life and time, after which ideas can then find their proper place in our minds. And I think that speaks a lot to what you guys are saying. Yeah, it takes a voice, but it also takes, us, the people hearing the voice, to be open enough to have that idea
Right.
be planted, that seed be planted in the appropriate place for it to grow and actually make us want to have a voice with you.
Well, that's
You know what I'm saying?
what I'm saying. I mean, all it takes. I mean, there is power in numbers, and if you have a one person, like that's what I think. That's why I think what we're doing here is so special, is because, like, we're how many ever people right now, but we get people to listen, and then all of a sudden they're supporting the cause, and then their friends and family are supporting the cause, and then before you know it, we have a number of people who are willing to stand up and say, this and this aren't right, and this is what we need to do about it. And people listen to numbers because there is power in it, and that's what it's all about, because people can't deny a huge crowd of people saying that something isn't right.
Right. And something else, if I may, people listen, absolutely, and when they resonate, that you talked about vibration and energy, right? That when we resonate with something, when somebody says something and you say, wow, that feels true to me,
Yeah.
right? Like, we don't need, anything other than, like, that feels true to me, what that person just said.
To want to do something about it.
Yeah, and to like want to listen, and then and what's really exciting about this is that the change that is happening on our planet, we're in this wonderful state of transformation, and
Right.
it can be a little messy because, like, in the cocoon of, like, like the caterpillar's like kind of gooey and it's like but we are transitioning into a new way, right? Now, voice is so powerful because guess who gets to create and determine what that new way is, right?
Right.
You know, it's each one of us.
Yeah.
So we get to usher in newness
Right.
by bringing forth our voices, our example, right? And articulating the kind of world that we want to live in.
Mm-hmm.
And as we articulate it, becoming it, right? So if we want a world that's based on consideration and kindness and equality and freedom and balance, then we become those things. And if we take our little group as like a little microcosm of, you know, the kind of world that we want to live in, right? There's respect here, there's dignity, there's appreciation, there's heart, there's soul, right? There's like awareness. We're building, we're connecting, we're thinking, you know, what's possible. So there's a tremendous power in our voice because it's contagious. When somebody hears a truth that's in their heart, that someone just spoke into existence, like, oh, that feels right to me. It's contagious, right? And I think we've played the game of domination and control. We've played the game of slavery. We've played the game of, you know, out of balancedness and, you know, abuse and all that stuff. Like, we've done really good, you know, as a human family with that. We're experts. We got it. We graduated. We did it. We figured it out. We figured out how to dominate and abuse people and, you know, rape our environment. Like, we're very good at that. Cool. Do we want to keep doing that? No.
It's
right?
bothering everyone.
It's bothering so
Like
many people.
They're bothered, and I don't mean bothered in the sense that like you're annoying them. I mean they are innately bothered by the situation.
And moved into, and that's the thing. Somebody in our class, Robert yesterday, in our class said, something like when the pain gets so deep, it's from there that action happens, right? That was nice. That was like a soundtrack. So, yeah. So people, I think we no longer are bystanders in our lives anymore. And more people are waking up and more people are willing to take action on whatever front and in whatever way feels right for them.
But I do totally feel that there's so many people just sitting out there being quiet, and they have these same thoughts. And I think they feel like they shouldn't or can't speak out, and if they would, it would make all the difference.
Yes.
People are frightened. Yeah. People are frightened to speak. But
Yeah.
just one person somewhere across the country can say, "Oh,
Yeah.
I feel the same way."
Yes.
And that's
You
why
know,
I care
and-
about this group, because if we
Right.
can inspire one person to speak up, that can
That's
inspire
right.
10 people to speak up,
Yeah,
and
that's
20, and
right.
then 40, you know.